Hitotsubashi NobuNobu. He is not the best shogun in all of Gintama, as all praise Shigeshige, but he is still a personal favourite character of mine, even if he is quite minor in the grand scheme of Gintama. However, this is in a way only a compliment to Sorachi Sensei for being able to make even a minor character so amazingly written. So in this video we will explore NobuNobu and explore his character arc and why it is so beautifully done. If you find yourself entertained at any point during the video, then consider liking, subscribing and ringing the bell, as I cannot explain to you how much such a small action can do for this channel. Also, if you want to support me further, my book Gang Flow of Justice is available on Amazon.com. Anyway, on with the video. NobuNobu was raised to be a shogun. From the moment he was born, it was decided he would become the next shogun. He was moulded by those around him and shaped to be the ideal shogun. He was told he would take the throne, but not as a true shogun, but as a puppet shogun. NobuNobu, despite obviously desiring the position of shogun, inside was hollow. He cared not for what it meant to be a leader, as he knew he would never be a leader. He would be a puppet, nothing more. And to cope with this realisation, NobuNobu gave up. He didn't aspire to be a leader and aspired instead to be a shogun for the benefits it would grant him. Women, material wealth, power. Even if he wasn't an active leader, he would still gain the benefits of being one. He could indulge in his worldly desires as much as he wanted. As such, he became egotistical and greedy due to seeing no benefits to his life other than material things. The reason he is so sadistic and cruel might in a way be him venting about how cruel he feels his own treatment has been. He was never free to be himself, he was to be a puppet shogun. When he came to power, he did all the same things as Shigeshige. He went to hostess clubs and he went to visit the commoners, but the difference was all too clear. Shigeshige truly cared for his people. He visited them in order to help them and improve their lives. However, NobuNobu did no such thing. He hurt the people he was made to lead. He abused his power and became the very definition of a tyrannical ruler. He laughed at a cop, a person who was meant to work to support him, and he almost killed two hostesses, the people he was meant to rule over and protect. Compare this to Shigeshige, the person who considered his Onibanshon, Matsudare, and the rest of his loyal followers his friends. The person who took up arms and fought alongside his men. The person who did everything in his power for his people. Compared to all that, NobuNobu isn't even a puppet, he is even less so than that. Whereas Shigeshige used his position as shogun to do all he could to help the people, NobuNobu instead used his position as shogun to do as he wanted to the people. However, the people didn't sit idly by and they turned on him. NobuNobu was told his whole life to become the shogun and that once he did he would have all the luxuries of life. But that wasn't true. He did become shogun and he did have worldly desires, but the people didn't like him and as such his life could hardly be called luxury. However, this all changes in the Rakkyo arc, where we get to witness what I think is one of the best character arcs in the entire series. NobuNobu's realisation of what a real leader is. You don't realise how much you need something till it's gone. For NobuNobu this was Shigeshige, and it was only after our mighty shogun was gone, after NobuNobu killed him, did NobuNobu realise what a great man he had been. In the Rakkyo arc. At the start of the arc we are confronted by NobuNobu standing in the way of our protagonists, ready to blow their fleet to bits, and when he is taken hostage by Gintoki and the lot, he says that his retainers should either kill the traitors or kill themselves, as if they aren't serving him the shogun, they should just die. However, as said by Bansai, the country no longer has a deserving ruler. And this is where his arc as a character begins proper. He is sitting there with his fleet, commanding like a leader in a fight against the rebels, those who object to his rule. And like nothing, he is thrown down from his throne and everything crumbles away. His retainers left him, the government fell apart, he is too shallow even as a puppet to be of use to the Tensho, or anyone for that matter. In this moment he lost everything and realised just how worthless he was. As to rebuild yourself, sometimes you have to let everything fall. Through watching Tatsuma and how he views his crew, not even raising a hand to them when they had turned on him, NobuNobu starts to understand the true qualities of a leader. And then when it appears Tatsuma dies trying to save NobuNobu, does our shogun realise something? The one person to ever want to help him ended up dead to save him. That the one person who actually wanted to help him died, that he was alone. Everyone wanted him to be shogun, but when he became the shogun, no one was there, all his retainers were dead. In a way, NobuNobu was just lonely. He was put up as a shogun without his consent to sit at the top of a falling apart regime all alone. He couldn't relate to the commoners as he was alone, isolated from everyone. And even those who controlled him all his life, they were gone too. Though even though he acknowledged this part of himself, that he was lonely, worthless and nothing more than thrown away junk, he kept fighting as he had to make it to the top on his own. Tatsuma saw worth in him when no one else did, and he had to fight to find out why. Through this fight, he finally understands what it means to be a true ruler, and I think the best way to sum this up is with what Mutsu says to NobuNobu.
君主とは空の船のようなものじゃ。人を乗せ、初めて動くことができる。皆の目指す目的地へと。故に船員たちは船を乗り捨てたりしない。船もまた船員たちを荒波から守らんとする。おまんの船はその重みに耐えかねた。いくら船が巨大であろうと、たった一人しか乗っていない空っぽの船はどこにも行けんさ。
He already knew he was empty inside as a mere puppet shogun, but he for once wants to be a puppet by choice and use his empty title as shogun to finally do some good. As he says,
空っぽの将軍にできるのは民の憎しみも悲しみも希望も全て受け止め事の顛末を見届けることだけだ。
And when Kaga recovers his food in sauce in spite of him and his corrupt leadership, he merely asks if this is the proper way to eat croquettes. Not only is he turning to a commoner for help and asking for advice, but he's also starting to mirror Shigeshige, just how Shigeshige experienced the life of a commoner by getting haircuts and visiting hostess clubs. NobuNobu was eating like a commoner. He was eating the food he had previously looked at in disgust. He was eating at the same table as them, as an equal. And then using his hollow title as shogun, he goes to confront the enemy, and we get the shitting your pants scene. Now take this with a grain of salt, as I don't think this is what Sadachi Sensei intended, but I do think there is some deeper meaning to this scene. So yeah, hear me out. NobuNobu makes the negotiations a success by spewing out his true thoughts for all to see, just like how he shits his pants for all to smell. He is also a piece of shit human being, and only by releasing that and letting all his feelings known can he move on to atone. Just like how he can't feel better till he goes to the bathroom and lets out all his shit, both literally but also in the form of the shit that fills up his body as a shit human being. There you go, the shitting your pants scene analysed. Anyway, moving on. NobuNobu promises to bring the head to the Tensho, and if not, to give up his head as shogun. Once again, he's using his title to not hurt others and abuse his power, but to help others and use whatever power he has left to help others. And then because NobuNobu doesn't get a break from amazing moments and developments, we then get another of my favourite Gintama moments, that being the conversation between NobuNobu and Soyo. NobuNobu says that he will protect Edo no matter what, as that is what a shogun would do. However, he isn't a shogun, he merely has the title, so instead of fighting to protect the people, he will instead die and be a stepping stone for the people. He will protect them using his title as much as possible. And Soyo replies that unless he comes back alive, she won't forgive him. However, NobuNobu doesn't want forgiveness, and so he walks away without saying a word, and I think everyone knows what happens next. He tells the enemy and his own men to stop, he tells them to bottle their anger and to just stop fighting, and then after the fighting stops, a lone soldier fires, and NobuNobu is hit in the crossfire. However, NobuNobu tells him to forgive the soldier, as he had done nothing wrong, and that if it satisfied him, then he could shoot him as many times as he wanted. After all, he started the war. He didn't seek atonement or forgiveness, he just wanted to stop the fighting and end the war. If it stopped the fighting, his life was a small price to pay. They call for medics to save NobuNobu, but they are already occupied under NobuNobu's own orders to save other people. His life is worthless after all. However, if it can stop the fighting, stop the war, then maybe it ain't too worthless after all. As he understands now why Shigeshige had said the country doesn't need a shogun anymore. As everyone has a king in their heart, and if NobuNobu could be the king in his men's heart, their shogun, then his life wasn't worthless one bit. And upon thinking that, he finally understood why Tatsuma had saved him, what his worth was. As a shogun he would die, but through his death peace would be achieved. He would lay down his life for his people. As a ruler isn't a ruler without his people, a ruler will be empty and lonely without people to call him shogun. He couldn't fill Shigeshige's shoes, but if all it took to save a country was lay down one shogun's life, then he would gladly die. For the new era. And then, when he passes on, he is welcomed to heaven by Shigeshige, the man he killed, because he truly became a shogun. He became my shogun. Whether you think NobuNobu redeemed himself or atoned in the end, I don't think it matters. What I want you to take away from this tragic character is that you aren't defined by the now or the past. There is a new era just around the corner, and you can all become better people. It is never too late to change, as it doesn't matter where you come from or what happens in between. What matters is how you are now and how you will be in the future. NobuNobu understood what it meant to be a ruler, to be a shogun, and he came to understand what it meant to have people rely on you and to rely on them in turn. A ship can't go anywhere without its crew, just like how a ruler is nothing without his people. And even if only a select few had called him shogun in their hearts, that was enough. It was enough for NobuNobu to die, not as a puppet, but as a shogun. He finally rose to the top on his own by making people acknowledge his title through his actions and his words. He finally found the meaning to his life. That being to stop a war, inspire and protect his people, and lastly, and most importantly, to be in their hearts, their shogun. As NobuNobu is my shogun. Comment of the week comes from JC2, and I'm glad you enjoyed the video, my friend. If you have any opinions on NobuNobu or Gintama as a whole, then tell me in the comment section down below. And if you have a suggestion for a future video, then again the comment section is funny enough down below. Also don't forget to check out my Twitter at SethTheSin for channel updates and just general chatter, and my DMs are always open if you want to chat to me directly. Or check out my Instagram at SethTheSin_cosplay to see my cosplays are random anime merchandise. Also, as said before, if you want to support me further, my book A Gang Fluid Justice is available on Amazon.com, so why not check it out? So with all that said and done, I've been Seth the Sin, the Deadly Sin of Geek, and I'm signing out. Stay safe, everyone.